the adventures of Lawrence and Hollow continue, I guess, now, and we take a long journey home, which will be very long for what I would assume to be. So now we're just going to kind of follow their journey and all the little things that they get up to along the way as they grow closer together. I'm assuming meet other people and grow friendly with them, and learn a lot about the world while each kind of helping each other along the way. And I think that's really it. And I'm just excited to see how their relationship kind of develops here. If you like it all, hit the like and subscribe. Do mean a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. Leave any comments for this episode or series. Let's get going with episode 2.
よく眠れたようだな。
この毛皮はとても暖かい
Yeah, it's nice having fur, not being in this form.
の。飲みがおった。
そりゃ最上級の毛並みだからな。絶好の温床だ。
はあ、この尻尾の良さがわかるとは、主もなかなかの目利きじゃな。
まあ、それなりにな。
I want to feel the tail. Is that weird or is that an acceptable thing for me to think?
とあらゆる嘘を聞き漏らさず、たくさんの仲間を危機から救ってきた。
Does she have 4 ears? Or no?
わっちのことよ。
自慢の花は何を嗅ぎ分けるんだ。
お主、急いだ方がよい。
どうした？
もうすぐ雨が来そうじゃ。
は？お。
Nice. I mean, I could have seen that coming.
神のご慈悲に感謝いたします。お連れ様は妻です。
Nice.
顔にやけどがありまして、いつもこのように。そうですか。
That's a pretty good excuse, you know? Easy way to keep her moving around without having to have her change forms and hide and stuff. It's alright, buddy. You can turn. This is your wife after all, right?
高値で売れるか。
それはわかりんせん。わっちは毛皮商人じゃありんせん。
そうだ。あの麦はどうすればいい？
どうってどういうことかよ。
つまり脱穀すればいいとか、あのままがいいとか。
Keep it.
ま、本当にあの麦にお前が宿ってたとしたらだが。
わっちが生きている限り、あの麦が腐ったり枯れたりすることはありんせん。食べられたり燃やされたり、すりつぶして土に混ぜられたりすると、わっちは。
Damn. Well, let's not do that then.
作物はその土地にあるからこそよく実るというものが多い。まあ、すぐに枯れるのがオチじゃ。行くだけ無駄というものよ。主は雨に濡れてもまだ臭いの。主はええ男じゃと思いんす。少しは身綺麗にしやさんせ。うちも良いと思う。
そうか。お前もこれの良さがわかるか。
ただ、わっちはもう少し長い方が好きじゃ。
Now you gotta grow it out, buddy.
ほう。剣道ホロじゃ。昔はずっとこの姿で旅をしていた。まあ任しとき。しかし
I feel like maybe we shouldn't leave it to you.
やけどしたから顔を隠すなどとは。
おう。ならお前はどう思う？
そんなやけどは尻尾や耳と同じ。二つとないわっちの証と思うまでよ。
向こうで塩を仕入れて別の村に納品し、代わりに天の毛皮を買い付けてきたところで、私がヨーレンツの紹介で塩を買った際、そこでお金を払いません。別の町にあるその紹介の支店にほぼ同額の麦を売っていたからです。麦の代金を受け取らない代わりに塩の代金も支払いません。
It evens out, you know.
二つの契約が成立するのです。
Right.
おお、それはなんとも不思議な出来事ですね。
これは為替という制度で、いろいろな地方の方を相手に商売する商人たちが集め。
Damn, these people really don't know anything.
知っていた方がいいのでしょうか。
大丈夫です。ブドウ園をお持ちのご領主様なら、業者に買い叩かれないよう注意すればよいでしょう。
まあいい。
Yeah, I guess that's a that's a valid point.
ぜひ当家をお尋ねください。
Nice.
歓迎いたします。
ええ、ぜひ。
She looks pretty exposed
妻
there.
がちょっと疲れているようなので。
But I guess they just have to cover her ears.
これで失礼します。
また。神のお導きがありますよ。
それを旦那はあっさりやってのけちまった。
俺も駆け出しの
He's a wise man.
表彰人全部が化け物に見えた。今でも半分以上が化け物だ。頑張ることだな。
そう
You get used to it after time, you know? A little bit more confident and comfortable in yourself.
あっしの名前はゼーレンと申します。駆け
Zeren.
出しの行商人です。に
I'm a little sus of you, but that's alright.
そちらはお連れの方ですか？
Companion. Something
妻
like
の
that.
ホロだ。
神のお導き、どうか一目拝ませてもらえませんかね？
いや、
旅は立つ前が最も楽しく、犬は鳴き声だけが最も怖く、女は後ろ姿が最も美しいものでありんす。気軽にひょいとめくれば人の夢を壊しんす。バッチにゃそんなことできんす。
I would never take that away from you.
すごい奥さんですね。
尻に敷かれないようにするのが精一杯だ。
こりゃお二人に出会えたのも神のお導きだ。どうです旦那？ちょっと足の話を聞いてくれやしませんかね？
It's kind of part of the job, so I guess. I think he uses God guiding him to things as like his excuse and reason for everything.
茹でた芋にヤギのチーズか
ちょっと待て。
Why would you stop her? She looks so happy.
や。麦かよ。
Oh,
首から下げられるよう皮紐もつけておいた。
助かる。
that's sweet.
こっちが優先じゃな。
ちょっと待て。
Priorities.
麦の袋に皮紐、芋にヤギのチーズまでかけて教会への寄付もかなりの金額だ。それに俺の一丁羅の分も必ず返してもらうからな。
それだけかや。
Maybe another time, buddy.
人の育てた野菜は木の芽よりうまい。
The ears perk up when she gets excited.
人の喉は相変わらず狭いの。不便じゃ。
狼は丸飲みだからな。
そりゃほれ。頬がないんじゃ。悠長に噛み砕かん。しかしわっちは昔も芋で喉を詰まらせた。相性が悪いのかもしれん。
No, you're just not. You're not used to it. Get you a woman who can eat like this.
君は嘘を聞き分けられると言ってなかったか？
Her ears.
まあ多少はの。
どのくらいだ？
まあ主がその気もないのにわっちの尻尾を褒めたことがわかる程度じゃ。百発百中ではありんせんがな。信じる信じないはまあ主の勝手じゃがの。
All right. All right.
あの小僧の話どう思う？
I didn't like him. I personally didn't like him.
まあわっちから見りゃどっちも小僧じゃが。
ある銀貨が近々銀の含有率を増やして新しく発行されるって噂があるんでさ。
ほう？
新しい銀貨は同じ銀貨である限り今の銀貨とも価値は同じ。けれど
Okay.
よその貨幣に変えるとなれば今の銀貨よりも高く
Is there actually a new one though, or are we just speculating that there's gonna be?
今の銀貨を大量に集めておいて、
Yeah.
新しいのが出たと同時にそっちに交換すれば差額の分だけ大
Yep.
儲けできる。
旦那が大儲けしたらその儲けの
Oh,
分け
the
前を
ears
あっしに
twitched.
くれるってのは
They detected something bad.
あの小僧は嘘をついとるとわっちは思う。
But what would his
何がどう
play
いう
be?
ことか詳
Because
しくはわかりんせんが。
he still wants the money at the end of the day too, or he wants profit from it. Why would he just be trying to? Well, I guess he could just be trying to hurt you.
大事なのは嘘の内容ではなく、なぜ嘘を
Most of the
ついたか
time.
その状況。気にすることはありんせん。
How sweet of
から見れば
her.
主もまた小僧なのじゃからな。
嘘か誠かの判断は保留にして、とりあえずゼーレンの話は飲んだように振る舞う。そのまま儲け話に乗ればいい。嘘であれば誰かが何かを企んでいるということだから、そういう時は注意深く裏を探っていけば大抵は儲け話に。
Sure. Well, at least you have a plan laid out. You wouldn't just blindly follow through.
嘘じゃと教えたら、
それは
主は初めから何も迷うことなどありんせん。どのみち乗ったふりをするんじゃろ。 この余りの芋はわっちのものじゃな。
Seems like you were gonna claim them regardless, but yes.
わっちは堅牢ホロじゃ。 主の何倍生きとると思っとる？
A couple. Where'd she go? What'd you find out?
わっちの旦那様の紐が太くなりますように。奴らの説教を聞いてきたんじゃ。
そんなものに興味があったのか。
たまに聞く分には楽しいからな。唯一神が世界を作り、人はその世界を借りているなんて大げさなことはよう言わなんだ。
Hmm.
自然は誰かが作れるようなもんじゃありんせん。わっちはいつから教会は喜劇を扱うようになったのかと思ったくらいじゃ。
You're just questioning everything they believe in. Damn.
いかわりかの。
Yeah.
この分だとだいぶ変わっていそうじゃ。
お前自身は変わったのか。
A change from being like gods that do things like you to
なら
whatever else it is that they now believe in, I guess.
主に慰められてちゃ堅牢の治るじゃ。
話に乗っていただけるんですね。
Kind of,
た
kind
だ
of.
し前金は払えない。毛皮を金に換えない限りどうにもならんからな。
では港町パッツィオで再会して正式な契約としましょう。に
See, it's when he does that smile. I can't stand it.
時間には正確だと思うが。
主は何を見とるかよ。奴らは時間に正確ではない空気に正確なんじゃ。目を覚まし、午後の空気で草をむしる。春の空気で芽吹きを喜び、夏の空気で成長を楽しむ。
Yeah, okay. So they're not.
冬の空気で春を待ちわびるんじゃ。奴らは
It's more about the feeling, yeah.
わっちもそうじゃ。取れば良きものになろうということじゃがな。
それは何百年後の話だ。
A couple. Just a few. She's always gonna avoid that, isn't she?
神がどうして人を襲うか知っとるかや。
いや、
それはな、人の頭を食べてその力を得ようとするからじゃよ。
Gain the knowledge through that? So we can just kind of dominate and take the things that we need.
神に襲われたことはないんかや。
ある。8回くらい。
I mean, I'd assume being a fucking traveler like this.
野犬の群れはどうにかなったが、狼は
I mean, a squad too.
それはな、そやつらが少なからず人を食ってその力。
やめてくれ。ガタガタ
Traumatic experience for him.
だからやめてくれ。
Yeah. Certain times to mess around, to joke around with them, certain times to not. And this is not one of those things he wants to talk about.
すまん。
In all your years, you still got a lot to learn yourself. You know? It was just a quiet ride the whole time.
怒っている。だから二度とその冗談はやめてくれ。
狼は森だけで暮らし、犬は一度人の元で暮らしとる。それが狼と犬の手強さの違いじゃ。 狼は人に駆られることしか知りんせん。人は恐怖の対象じゃ。だからよく考える。人が森に来た時、あっちらはどう動くべきか。
Completely separate. Yeah.
でも人を
いくらわっちもな、
Yeah.
答えられんことがある。
Alright.
これでおあいこじゃな。
Yeah, but still don't joke around about it.
生きてきた世界が違うんじゃな。
I mean, you probably lived in the world for 4 times they met at me, yes. While we continue onwards past, I guess, where the previous episode kind of left off, we do some interesting stuff where we just continue more so of that same feeling, right? Of giving these two characters time to become closer to each other, of us understanding the dynamic a little bit still between them, which I think was laid out extremely well throughout the first episode, but it's going to be a constant theme and like probably like one of the main things that really drives people to really care for these characters and their relationship together. That of course it's something that you really want to give a lot of time and allow that to have its time to develop over time still, and just kind of be a prominent portion of this series. So they do a really nice job of allowing for the pacing of this to give you plenty of those nice interactions between the two, and pace it in a way that it doesn't feel like we're going too quick with any of that stuff. Doesn't feel like we're kind of just skimming over it, or it doesn't feel like it's a little bit cheap at moments. And it doesn't, like, they keep reinforcing basically the same ideas almost with a lot of the interactions and the things we have, while sprinkling some new stuff within each of them, that definitely allow you to kind of grow your understanding of these characters, allows you to see the development kind of in their own relationship that they're having together. And it all works out really nice. I also really like the idea of not doing like one-offs each time, not setting us up like, okay, here's this guy, here's this thing that we're going to have to go and do. We're going to be like suspicious of him, and we have to figure out like what our next move is going to be. And then we just kind of have like an opening to the episode like that. And then we close it by the end, and then we move on to a new area and a new kind of situation, I guess, right afterwards. And as opposed to that, now we are just building these things up that can take multiple episodes at a time. It can develop throughout them, which I think is really fun, because a lot of the times if you just feed everything through in one episode, it can be a little too much, especially from the author's perspective of trying to write it all within like one chapter basically, and especially within the people trying to adapt this to this format, trying to squeeze it all into one to make it work that way as well. So I think it definitely works having things like this, and then you can also take little lessons and things that you learn throughout all of these and apply them at different moments into the future, and in different situations and negotiations and things that we're going to have to come up to and deal with at some other point. So it all really, I think, ties itself up in a nice way, which we haven't actually gotten to the end of yet either, because we still have plenty more that we have to kind of learn about that was proposed and basically set for us at the beginning of this episode. I think my favorite moment overall, though, was the end scene of them just kind of traveling and talking, and Hollow realizing that she's going a little too far with the things that she's saying, something that is definitely traumatic and has bothered Lawrence for a while, of him having to go through and put up these fight against these wolves and the stuff that he's kind of encountered and run into over the course of his life so far, and how difficult of those situations have kind of been. So of course, seeing somebody, especially, I mean, we saw how freaked out he ended up becoming in that moment when he saw Hollow and her transformation that she had before. So of course he's gonna have like some sort of reaction, I guess, at some point. But finding out like all this little backstory and these things to it, and her realizing like, oh, I probably pushed too far, I shouldn't have kind of teased him and gone the way that I did, and approached that situation. But it can realistically show the way of two different characters and two different people kind of coping with the situations that they're in, because later on when she starts explaining things a little bit more, after giving some space between the two and time to calm down a little bit, expresses, you know, her run-ins and issues and things that she's had in the past too, over the many years of having to run in with different humans, how dogs are something that they can actually live with, but when it comes to wolves, they're completely separated, right? And they each view each other on the opposite end of things, where the humans will go out and they'll end up hunting the wolves, but it's also the same exact way, and they have to protect themselves at the end of the day too, so they have to end up going after them whenever they're in their sort of territory to protect them and the people around them, of course. So you definitely have to start feeling for her too. So while she's kind of taking this and she's messing around and joking with him and kind of just like teasing him a little bit, but it comes off in a way that really triggers like a traumatic response basically from him. But it's almost her way as well of these terrifying things and the things that have kind of like worn on her over the years, likely her kind of coming out and using it as like a comedic relief kind of thing, you know, like plenty of people definitely do that, where they have things that are like these big issues within their lives, and they don't know how to deal with them. Some people bottle a lot of things in, they don't say anything at all. Some people openly express things and like to talk and communicate with others. Some people like to turn those traumatic experiences and things that they have into jokes, because if they can kind of come out and they can make as many jokes about these things as they can, it can kind of lighten that situation to them, or they can lighten it in a way that they no longer have to feel like no matter what somebody else says or whatever comes to them, they've kind of already laid out all the situations and things that can kind of occur, or that somebody can kind of like come back at them with at some point. And they can do a variety of these different things, of course, to be able to cope with what this issue that you end up having is. So it's her, somebody who likely has gone through and had a lot of these problems over time too, is unfortunately has to like do things in a little different way, where Lawrence just immediately wants to shut down and doesn't want to talk about it, and he doesn't want people to joke about it because it's a serious thing to him. Of course, she doesn't feel that exact same way. That's not how she operates with a lot of these things. But I do, like I said, her moment of talking about like her experiences with this, likely having to go in, kill, probably eat the humans and like do all this stuff too. So it's definitely a big shock, I guess, at this point for Lawrence to have to unfortunately learn. And it might not even be something that she really wanted to go out of her way and do at any point, but it's one of those things you have to survive, right? You have to protect yourself. You have to protect anybody around you and the people and the land and the area and stuff that you care for, that if these other people are coming at and you're basically at odds with each other, and that's just like the way that things end up kind of being, you have to go out of your way and do these things. And it's a bit unfortunate that that's the way that things have kind of evolved and been, and even, you know, to this day still like that. It's really sad, but that's the situation that they find themselves in. And I just really like how each of them had different ways of approaching that conversation. Also each had understanding of the other and the situation that they're going through, and through like an open communication with each other, even though one of them, like in Lawrence, ended up shutting down at some point, Hollow being able to come back and actually come at him and like let him know like her own experiences and like talk a little bit, just being open and honest and having a communication between two can bring each other closer together, of course, and understanding these things of what you don't want to kind of joke around with and where the boundaries and the things are for certain people. And I think that really shows like a strong connection that the two of them are going to definitely already start having, that definitely will lead a lot of people into loving the characters. I like the little moments of her kind of waking up and yawning and then getting all excited at the fair and everything that she was able to rest in. I mean, this is somebody who literally can't be in her other form at all, so of course she's going to be like cold and stuff. So being able to be surrounded by fur and have all this stuff definitely helps her, and she'll definitely be appreciative of this. I love her like getting so excited and talking about the greatness of her tail and her ears and stuff, which all becomes something that we end up noticing later on, as she notices like he kind of praises them in some sort of way, but she immediately talks about how she can end up catching various lies and different things that are to come, as a result of these different things that she has that other humans and stuff won't. She ends up sniffing out a storm here, of course, which I don't know if that's that great of an accomplishment. I mean, if you just look in the distance, it looks like it's coming, so I don't be knowing about that. I find it funny how we're running in a way from the church, but we end up finding our way back at the church as a place that we have to like stay and conduct business and stuff for our next stop. We end up talking about how he claims this is his wife, which I think great cover up. That's also one of my favorite things. I absolutely love when we have to fake that and role play that sort of relationship. That's great. So I'm definitely here for that, but using the excuse of burns and things like that, kind of covering all those things up doesn't open up a lot of conversations. Also, people might be kind of sensitive to those things. So that's why we can keep her covered. It works perfect in ways of disguising her, not having her have to constantly transfer her different forms and do things. And it gets us past whatever we have to do. In these moments, him being completely like shy and not wanting to look and turning away from her. I mean, buddy, if that's your wife, you gotta like, I don't understand, man. Just do it. Look at her, she's got the wide stance and everything too, dude. She's like openly kind of showing you know, this is for you to see. No shame at all coming from her. I also love her hair just perfectly falls like the exact perfect situation. I like her messing around with him a little bit, teasing him a bit, praising him about his appearance and the things that she likes and doesn't and stuff. I like Lawrence explaining here and kind of just letting everybody know about the trading company and the way that things kind of work, and how he's able to take certain items and trade them for other things and be able to use that as ways to obtain the stuff that he wants without actually having to transfer money or funds in any sort of way, and just being able to negotiate and use his own items and the things that he's able to get for his own benefit at the end of the day. And like certain areas having different values of things, of course, too. So if you take something in like a certain spot and then trade it or go to like another area and do things, you're able to kind of capitalize on that, and you can like make profit at the end of the day, which becomes pretty relevant later after we're able to make friends with this group here, which ends up being pretty great. But as we end up talking with this guy here, we end up having like a very similar situation occur, right, where he ends up finding out that they're creating this new silver currency basically that's coming into play, and at the end of the day, one of them's going to become more valuable as a result, right? So you're going to want to be able to obtain as much as that one as you can, so that when you can transfer that as like an exchange fund, you're able to basically profit out of what you're able to get, which I mean makes all sense there. But it's basically the same thing. You take something and you're trading it based on like where the value is at a different point, to a point that you're able to then become profitable, or you'll be able to just obtain the things in which you kind of want. So he's using us in this situation and trying to gain some help from us, because he can't do it all on his own, it seems like. But I don't really know, I guess, his reasons and the things behind what he's doing here. He wants us to work with him in cooperation for being able to obtain as much as we can, and then be able to like kind of split profits with each other once we're done. But it's like, what is there's usually something in it, like some more reason and intention behind the things that he's doing. But that's the problem, is nobody's actually certain exactly what he's doing. Him trying to like look at Hollow and do all this is like really creepy and weird. Like I really don't understand his reason for wanting to go out of his way and do that. But it is what it is, and she's able to completely shut him down. I do like Lawrence immediately like realizing though, or having the idea of, I don't trust this guy completely at all, but looking at multiple different angles and how this can kind of work for him, that could be like what could be good and bad out of this whole situation, and kind of finding that if all works out and I just follow along and I work with this guy, I can make money and things could go good. But if that's not the case, I can also learn his reasons for his lying, which I really like his line of like, wanting to, or the lie itself isn't like the important thing, but it's his intention behind it, like the reason why he's doing what he's doing, or saying what he is, or led to believe exactly what he is, and figuring out that and getting down to like the root of all of those things can be a lot more telling and a lot more important for him to do. So viewing this as like, this can't really be a negative thing, because worst situation, we just kind of cooperate with him slightly, and then we don't actually go through and do anything that we're supposed to with him, but we're able to figure out a bigger thing at the end of the day, and we can actually obtain a lot more information and grow and have knowledge from that point, which I think is like a really strong thing for him to be able to have. And now being able to have somebody like Hollow, who immediately brings up her idea of like the way that she can use her ears and tell what people are lying and all of that stuff, or having like at least that internal instinct of like, this is the way that I feel about this. We're able to work together extremely well to realize like there's something off with what this guy was telling us. We don't know exactly what, which is basically what Lawrence was already suspecting to be the case. But now we can almost have full confirmation that that is the case, and now we can work together to figure that out. I love Hollow getting so excited and wanting to eat here, and him just keep shutting her down while she's trying to. Really sweet being able to get the wheat here to be able to just kind of keep around her neck and like wear, which I believe is like just something, so if she needs to like vanish at any given moment or something goes wrong, she can like kind of just turn into this pouch basically and escape in a way. Would probably be the situation, right? If I'm reading that kind of correct. I don't know. Her getting overly excited and eating is really fun. I also like her just like explaining about not having, or having like more of a narrow mouth or throat now, not being able to actually go out of her way and eat and like eat true things and everything like she has in her other form, and it's completely different with her now and having to adjust and get used to this. Her also discussing about being kids or seeing everybody as kids in her eyes and stuff, indicating towards more of how long she's been around for, without actually putting a number or anything on that. We wake up early morning and Hollow's already gone. She goes and she listens to things from within the church. I don't know her reasons exactly, but she thinks it is interesting enough for her to give it a chance and do so. And then we have fun little moment between the two of them here while we have a chance. More so like concern, I guess, too, on her part of things kind of changing over here, nobody kind of believing that there's like gods in a way, or people like her who are able to like kind of create these things. Instead they view as like a one all like powerful being in a way of something that's making these things happen, and they're kind of praising for that, as opposed to like an individual that like handles different kind of areas, is kind of what I was getting from that. And I don't know if I'm misinterpreting that entirely, but it is like a concern on her part that everything in the world around her is kind of evolving and changing and moving on from what it once was, what she once knew it as, and almost that concern of like, when I get back home, will things be entirely different than they kind of are now, or than I remember them, and being a little bit worried about that. But Lawrence being there to kind of reassure her at that moment. We end up striking a deal with Buddy where we're going to end up going and meeting up with him, and we'll contract and do all that stuff in the coming days. So we have to end up traveling with him, where it's going to take us a lot longer, or traveling to a location to be able to do that. Well, he ends up going ahead of us, so he has plenty of time to prep and do whatever I guess that he has to, but we take our slow ride here. This is where we talk about the attacking of humans and all that, and the traumatic stuff that kind of comes resurfacing here for Lawrence that we talked about a lot earlier. And I just really like the way that that stuff's kind of paced, her understanding or realizing at a certain point when he tells her to stop, like maybe I should stop, and then them just kind of being silent for a while throughout the ride, until she's able to kind of openly express things, and you know, the issues and stuff that she's also had to go through, to make sure that he understands like he's not alone in the situation. There's others that kind of go through things, and you should also be kind of aware of that. And everybody handles all these things entirely different, as we set off to go to sleep one more time before we ultimately have to be back up with Buddy, I'm assuming, for the next episode. Excited to see where that goes. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it all, hit the like and subscribe to me a lot. To me, feel free to check out the other videos and channel, leave comments with this episode or series. I'll be back for the third one next week. Have a good one though. Peace.